life together. Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is Amanda. How are you doing? Guys, it's spring. I mean, it's 38 and there's no sun today, but the calendar says it's spring and I am excited. I need some sunshine. And today I want to talk about some of the palettes that I think are great for spring makeup. I am typically not an extremely traditional seasonal makeup wearer. If I want to wear neon green eyeshadow in December, I do it. But occasionally I will say, yes, it's spring. I want to wear pink. I want to wear purple. I want to wear mints and pastels. It just depends on my mood. So I wanted to feature palettes that have those shades in them, or that I think would be great options for spring. I don't know about the availability on all of these, particularly 1, 2, potentially. But, sorry. Not surprising, there are a lot of Colourpop palettes. We're going to save those to the end, and I want to talk about the other palettes first, but let's get to them because there's like 13 palettes. That's an uneven number. Okay, there's 14. Okay, we're good. I don't like uneven number. Alright, the first palette is from Too Faced, and this is their Life's a Festival palette. I'm sure you can find this somewhere. I kept mine in the box because the shape of this palette is absurd, but I really quite enjoy this palette. The shape is ridiculous. However, this has there are a lot of options here. You can, there are only 2, maybe 3 matte shades. This pink, this neutral brown, and then this dark purple. But this Mystic Realm shade is such a beautiful, springy, like blue to purple duochrome. This Fun in the Sun shade is a beautiful, like spring green color. You can use it on its own or as a topper, I'm sure. And then if you want to do something a little bit deeper, you have options for that as well with the Artist Pass color. This is a darker blue to purple. The, what is this called? Dusk Teal Dawn, a gorgeous metallic teal color. I actually really enjoy. And then of course this huge highlighter called Unicorn Tears, which you can use for anything. And this is a icy white with a purple shift to it. I just think this is a really beautiful palette. I wish the packaging wasn't like this because I didn't hear a lot of people rave about this palette, and I think the packaging put them off from that. For me, I think that this is really pretty. If you want to do something a little more traditional spring, you have pinks and oranges here. This is a peachy gold. It's very pretty, and the shadows perform really well. I enjoy this palette. I hate the packaging. I mean, the packaging is, yes, adorable, but couldn't you have put this on a rectangle shaped palette? I don't like weird shaped palettes. Simply for storage, I ain't got time for that. So I have to keep the box. The next palette I'm also not sure if you can still purchase, and that is the Dose of Colors Desi and Katie Friendcation palette. And while this looks, not pastel, I think that these look like springy colors. We have new flower blooms. We have, new grass. Yeah. We have pansies. This blue to purple. I still think this is an option for a springy palette. I still would consider that you can do springy looks with this. In my opinion, you can use a light hand. You don't have to go ham. I think that the colors in here, though, along with the sort of berries, there's a lot of this really pretty, like almost terracotta mauve. It's warmer than regular mauve, but it's not straight up terracotta. I just think that you can do springy things with this palette. So you should try it. The next palette is actually the Loreal Pro 2. feel like these used to be, you know, cult classic favorite palettes, and then just no one talks about them anymore. But you know what? This is a very cool toned springy palette, I think. I think that this is an all season palette really. But if you want to just do something very simple with a solid formula, I think that this is a great palette to reach for. We have some grays, we have this nectar color, we have a really pretty plum if you want to do, a really pretty plum if you want to do something, you know, purpley. There's shimmers. I think that in general this is a palette that is kind of overlooked, and I really quite enjoy the Loreal palettes. I myself neglect it, and I need to get better about using it, but this mocha color, so pretty. So pretty. Next we have the LMR Cosmetics Spanglish palette. This is their purple pink palette. These shadows perform so well. You can use them wet or dry. I prefer to foil these just because I prefer to foil every shimmer. I want more of everything. But they're beautiful. This purple color, oh, I'm not going to try to pronounce these because this is going to be terrible. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. They're just lovely, lovely shadows. This pink is lovely. It's so bright, but then you can also sort of blend it out and diffuse it, and it's not as bright. This light purple up here, I love this color. I mean, oops, oh gosh. It's this middle finger. Just so beautiful. I have all three of the LMR Cosmetics eyeshadow palettes, and I love them. I think the formula is fantastic. I love that they are all the same size, and I also love that all the palettes are the same shape. I say that and now they will announce like a circle palette or something, but I love when a brand has consistent palette sizes. That's just very exciting for me as an organizer. I love that. But aside from all of that, this palette is really beautiful and it's just fun. They open like a book. This one has a mirror. I don't ever use the mirror, but it does have one. Next we have the LA Girl Hot Hot Heat palette. I believe you can still purchase these on the LA Girl website. I don't think they're available on the Ulta website anymore, but these palettes are so good. They're a little large. I wish that they were just a little bit smaller because I have to lay them down in my, this is a first world problem, I'm aware. I have to lay them down in my palette drawer, and I don't like that. I like palettes to stand up. Has to lay down. However, this is definitely a brighter, springy color story, but I mean, what? And then this like silvery gray with the purple shift in it are, I believe I have 4 of the palettes from this like shape series, and they're all fantastic. I think they're $15. So they are, you know, on the affordable side. LA Girl is a drugstore brand. If you purchase them at Ulta, you can use the $3.50 off 15 coupon on them. These purples are fabulous. I just really, really love these palettes. They have a huge mirror, and I think that this is one that should not be overlooked. The pink version of this is also very pretty, but you know, a little typical. I wanted to choose the peacock version. Oh, this one is called Aloha Vibes, by the way. There's Hot Hot Heat, I think it's Decay Vibes, and Aloha Vibes. This is Aloha Vibes. Wouldn't it be great to go on vacation? The last palette before we get to the Colourpop palettes is the Urban Decay Stone Vibes palette. This palette was sent to me as PR, which I was shocked and surprised by, but I love this palette, and I was not sure how I was going to feel about this because in all of the promo pictures, these looked like, it comes with a brush, but I'll take it out. These looked like pressed glitters, but they're not. They're marbled shades. You can do so much with these. You can build them up, you can wear them as opaque shadows, you can wear them as a light, slightly more sheer topper shades. The shades on the end, they call them mattes, I would call them satins. There is a slight sheen to them. but they still perform really well. I wish there was one slightly lighter than this and slightly darker than this, just to complete this. At the same time, I have a million neutral brown transition shades from 750 palettes. I can find one to use. It's not that big of a deal. I'll just use my bronzer, you know? But I love all of the shades in here. This one called Bloodstone. It looks really green in the pan, but it's more of a green-red shade. It's so beautiful. And then Jade is the more green. Like this is, you can see this is more red and this is more green in it. Opal Aurora is beautiful. This is a beautiful inner corner highlight, I think. There are a lot of different things you can do with this palette. Oho is blue. I really enjoy this palette. I think that this has been on sale for half off lately, and I think the half off price is the price that I would recommend this as. I don't really ever think that I would say, yes, you should spend $54 on a palette. That's just, I just think that's ridiculous, personally. Now we're going to talk the Colourpop palettes. I'm going to start with one that I don't actually love. This is not my favorite Colourpop palette, the Garden Variety palette. I know that some people really enjoy this. I think the color story in this palette is beautiful. And the more I use it, the more I think, okay, this palette isn't like that bad. But it's a very subtle palette. I want this purple to look like, I want this purple to look purple. I do think the color story in this palette is really beautiful, but I always want more impact from my eyeshadows versus like a natural makeup look or a natural eye look. I don't really ever want that, very rarely. I think the colors in here are really pretty, and it's not that any of the colors are actually bad, but when I was looking at promo pictures of this versus what I received and used the palette, I thought, oh, this isn't as purple as I want, this isn't as green as I want, and that's just my personal preference. I don't think that the formula is bad or anything like that, but for those reasons, it's not my favorite Colourpop palette, but I do still think that the colors are very pretty. So if you want something a little more subtle or, you know, not as in your face, you might really like this. Speaking of natural makeup, this is the Wild Nothing palette, and I wasn't going to buy this at first because I was like, this is literally just neutrals. And it is. It's very pretty though. The formula of Colourpop shadows is, if you've watched a lot of my eyeshadow videos, I love Colourpop eyeshadows. I love Colourpop in general, but their eyeshadows in particular, I think are great even beyond the price point. I think that they are really nice eyeshadows. There are two Super Shock shadows in here. I love the Super Shock formula. That's what introduced me to Colourpop. And these feel very like fresh. I don't know how they figured out how to formulate these so that they stay fresh without the airtight lid, but they have. There's a nice gentle pop of green in here, and then a lot of neutrals. So if you want like a fresh, springy, barely there, but oh, that's very pretty anyway, makeup look, this palette is lovely. The shadows, again, are beautifully formulated. They blend well. You know, there's some peachy in here. There is one of those mattes with a shimmer in it. I don't mind those. I think that they can be really pretty, and if you don't want the shimmer, it's kind of easy to just blend the shimmer away. Those don't bother me. I know some people hate those, but I would much rather have that than a pressed glitter. The mattes with shimmer in them do not bother me. I think that they're actually kind of pretty. Next one is the Sweet Talk palette. This is, I don't think this is an underrated palette. This is a beautiful, very springy palette. I think this was released, does it say when this came out? I feel like this was a spring release a couple years ago. There are two pressed glitters in here, which I, again, don't love, but you know, you can use them on your hair. You can, people do use them on their eyes. Whatever. They're not my favorite. I have used them on my eyes. I wish that this were a Super Shock because this gold, or just a shimmer, because this gold is so so pretty. But this is a very coral palette. I don't wear a ton of coral. I mean, this is like the most coral I've worn in a while. But I love this palette. Every time I wear this, I love how it looks. This color makes my eyes look so green, and I enjoy that. So Sweet Talk is another really great springy palette. Next we have Flutterbye. This is definitely more purpley. It's more cool toned. There is a pressed glitter in here. This is called Overpacked. The Flutterbye palette is definitely very cool toned. There is no mirror. I personally prefer when they don't have a mirror. I don't ever use them. I would rather you make the palette a little bit cheaper and not charge me for a mirror. That's my personal opinion. I know not everyone feels that way. But this is a very cool toned mauve palette. I'm a big fan of this one. I think that this is beautiful. There are two of those mattes with shimmer in them. Again, I don't mind those personally, but this Sunflare color right here is so bright. It's like icy. I really love this palette. I have some 9 pans. I have 4 of them. 2 of them are from the, I can't remember what they call this collection, like the tie-dye collection. So we have In a Trance, the cooler like pastel one with the purples and pinks and blues. There's a pressed glitter in that one, but also a Super Shock, which is beautiful. And then we have Aura and Out, the yellow, green, blue version of that. There is a pressed glitter in this one as well. This one has 3 mattes, 2 mattes with shimmery shades, and then 3 shimmer metallic shades. Just letting you know if you hate those. I, again, don't really care. Either way, you can see that I never used the mirror. I didn't even take the plastic off. I don't use them. I love the, this green down here called Soul Sister is a Super Shock. It's so pretty. This won't go with my eye. This won't go with my eye look at all. There's a matte white in here. And I never realized how weird that was until I started using this palette, and I was like, wait, what? A matte white? I feel like that's weird, but it makes sense for a tie-dye collection. It's just, that's something I think I ever really thought about. I love the color story in here. This is probably my favorite of these two, and that's because it's green. And then the In a Trance palette is also very beautiful. I do still like this. I reach for the green a little bit more. This Super Shock though is stunning. It looks white. There's a very strong blue, purple. It's not even a shift, it's just like an iridescence to this. So beautiful. The glitter in here is very dry. I cannot remember if that is how it always was or if this is dried out. I don't really care because I don't typically use their glitters or the pressed glitters. This purple in here is beautiful. And this matte lavender color I think is so fun. I don't have a color like this in my collection, and that's rare. So I really like this for spring. I think you can do some really fun looks with both of those. And then the last two are the other like style 9 pans. So Mint to Be, which is so beautiful. So beautiful. And then we also have Lilac You a Lot. I just love Colourpop. I personally love the monochromatic palettes that they do. I feel like they have, I mean, they did the Wine and Only palette, but for a while they were releasing a monochromatic palette like every week it seems, or every other week, and I just love these. I think these look great together. I don't have the, what's it called? On Cloud Blue. I really need to get that one. It looks beautiful. problem with Colourpop. Both of these palettes perform really well. There's no pressed glitters or, I don't think there are any, no, there's no mattes with shimmer in these. Oh, wait, yes, there is this seltzer color. It has green with a green shimmer in it. I think it's pretty personally, but what do I know? Just my opinion, that's fine. This ice cold color right here is like actually fantastic. It's so good. So those are some of my favorite spring palettes. Do you guys, I would love to know your favorite spring palettes. Are you a seasonal makeup person? Do you like only wear pastels in spring? Do you only wear brights in spring? Let me know your situation for eyeshadow palettes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you in my next video.